Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
What's going on, Magnum Sports Network fans and Niner fans? My name is JT Magnum and welcome to Niner News. Now, we saw the game yesterday. It was a great victory for the San Francisco 49ers, 28-17 over the Cowboys with a sea of red in the stadium. How beautiful was that to look at the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T Stadium, and see all that red just surrounding the stadium. And you can hear, during the game, you can hear the cheers. Every time San Fran did anything good, it was just all just loud for San Francisco. It was just amazing. So let's get into the good parts of the game, and then I'll talk about some of the things that I didn't like. We'll talk about the good first and get that out of the way. The good thing, the early start, the fumble recovery by Chris Culliver, the DeMarco Murray was stripped by Dan Skuta, and Chris Culliver picked it up really quickly, ran to the end zone. They called a touchdown. I was very happy about that. They didn't rule him down. That they didn't, they let him play it out. That was the first time I've ever seen where they just let them play it out. And they actually let them play it out twice. But they let him play it out. He ran to the end zone. Turns out it was a fumble. Turns out it was a touchdown. And kudos to the NFL for that, because we all know about the Ahmad Bradshaw thing in the NFC Championship game where the 49ers scooped up a fumble and they ruled him down when they should have let him go. They should have let it play. But no, they ruled him down too early. But anyways, second time, Jason Witten fumbled, but it turns out it wasn't a fumble. They returned it for a touchdown as well. They let that play out, but then realized that he was obviously down and it wasn't a fumble. 3 more interceptions later from Tony Romo, and the Niners were up 28-3. Colin Kaepernick had a really good drive on the first series for San Francisco. Just drove him down the field in 3 plays. It was like 3 plays, 73 yards, and he threw a 30-yard pass to Vernon Davis that was a laser off of. He got tripped up, gained his composure, and just ripped it. I mean, the ball just flew into Vernon Davis' hands, and easy touchdown for the 49ers. And it was just like, wow, like, whoa, like, holy crap, this is offense. They didn't even run the ball once. They had a 21-3 lead before even running the ball once. It was crazy. So it ended up a really good victory. But now we're gonna get into the bad. Well, actually, let me talk a little bit about Carlos Hyde. He looked great. Frank Gore looked great in the first run. Then all of a sudden, he looked a little like shaky, like he wasn't. I mean, kudos to the Dallas defense. That was probably the reason. But Frank Gore was just not. He was finding creases, he was finding holes, but he just didn't have that burst that Carlos Hyde had, obviously, when he came into the game. Because Carlos Hyde, when he came into the game, you could see the burst. Like, he was just significantly flying through that line, and just it looked like if he was the one that started the game, if he was the one that was playing, I mean, 49ers might have even won by more. He just looked so good. But anyways, the receivers look good. Anquan Bolden looked good. Crabtree played well. Colin Kaepernick was finding everybody all over the field. Didn't need to do that much. They were up so much. All they had to do was really run, and they were just like playing. It seemed like the play calling got a little lax at the end. But that's it. Let's get into the bad. The run defense. They were obviously without Aldon Smith, obviously without Navarro Bowman, obviously without Glenn Dorsey, and it looked like it. And the run defense wasn't as stout as it normally was. I mean, they were kind of like, it was almost like they were a bend but not break defense. They toughened up right when they got toward, with their backs towards the wall. Seemed like that's when they really tightened up. But other than that, the secondary played very well. Dallas is a passing team. They can pass the ball really well. Dallas obviously is a running team as well now, with DeMarco Murray looking great. I mean, the Dallas offensive line looked great. Kudos to them as well. I mean, they played well too, and so did DeMarco Murray, minus that one fumble that he had. But Tony Romo did make some mistakes. And remember, everybody's saying Tony Romo is this quarterback that always does this and that, and he always throws so many interceptions and everything. He threw 31 touchdown passes last year with only 10 interceptions on a bad team. And he looked pretty good to me last year, and he's had a history of playing the 49ers very, very tight, and he's had great games against the 49ers. And so for the defense to step up and do what they did against him, I would say that's definitely a plus. So kudos to the 49ers defense for that. But the refereeing. You've seen me before. I get mad at certain things, but the refereeing yesterday was absolutely atrocious. The NFL needs to stop with this illegal contact stuff unless there's some kind of a way to judge on it. It's made because obviously the Seattle guys, and I know a lot of people are gonna get mad at me because they're gonna say 40 whiner. I hear it all the time. 40 whiner, this and that. It's not just games against the 49ers I'm talking about. It's all games in general. I watch all the games. I have the NFL package. I watch them all, and I see the bad calls going all around. And yesterday, in particular, I was watching the game, and on 3 plays alone, they called the 49ers for illegal contact when they shouldn't have. And then they called the 49ers for an offensive pass interference that they should not have on Brandon Lloyd. Brandon Lloyd got pulled. The actual cornerback pulled Brandon Lloyd almost like to give him a hug, and we got open for a first down or whatever. And next thing you know, they're calling the play back because they said Brandon Lloyd interfered with the guy. He didn't even do anything. He didn't even touch him. He was pulled into the guy, but they called him for interference. Then what does Dallas do? They run a pick play that gets Terrence Williams open on Dante Johnson, and what Dante Johnson should have done is run into the guy himself, so maybe they would have called for interference, but they did a pick play, and they get an easy touchdown with Terrence Williams, and no call whatsoever. Then that minus the Craig Dahl where all he did was put his hand on the dude when he was running by, just put his hand on a dude. They called illegal contact for that, which should not have been called. Even Mike Pereira, the yes man, the famous yes man on Fox, said it was bad. It was a horrible call. It should not have been called. The announcers were saying it should not have been called because they didn't even see where the foul was. They were like, "Where's the foul? We don't even get it." Through 2 other times there was more illegal contact. I have never seen I haven't seen that since the Super Bowl, basically. Just horrible officiating. They need to get their priorities straight. I don't know if they need to. My guess is they need to have challenge flags for the coaches for refereeing. That would be my thing. If you see a really atrocious call, since they have the ref in New York City that always reviews the refs or reviews the play back in New York City and it radios to the ref, and you're in communication with the ref, and the ref makes the call afterwards. The ref has the right to override or whatever, or who knows what, make the call on the field, or how that goes. I don't know how their plan is in place, but there should be, how there is a red challenge flag for the plays, for the ref? Well, there should be a challenge flag for the ref, like a black and white challenge flag that you throw out, and the person in New York has to review the ref's call on the field. So that way they can maybe get it right. Because, you know what, these refs are getting ridiculous. So when they make an illegal contact call on a 3rd down play, when Dallas was trailing 28-3, it seemed like they were trying to bring Dallas back into the game. That's what it seemed like. And that's not cool. That's not cool whatsoever. You should never, ever have to call plays to bring a team back in. It seems like that's what they were doing. Every time it was 3rd down, the 49ers stopped Dallas, they got called for a flag. And it was like, what now? What now? So they should be able to challenge the ref, throw a flag, challenge the ref, have the New York guy call in and say, you know what? You were wrong. They didn't commit a penalty on that play. You were wrong. Take the flag back. Let them punt the ball. And it just seems like maybe the NFL is too scared because they're always too scared to admit they're wrong. And I think it's not cool. I think it's not cool whatsoever. And the NFL has to stop it now before it starts getting to other games. Because, I even saw the Denver game last night where Indianapolis guy gets called for it, and he didn't even touch the guy. Like he didn't even like it barely grazed him, and so it's gonna get to the point where it's just stupid now. So let me know in the comments what you thought about the game. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the officiating, because the officiating was absolutely atrocious. And Twitter was blowing up on my phone. Like, it was blowing up with people just saying, "What is going on? This is horrible." It was as if Stevie Wonder was reffing the game last night. So we'll see what happens. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of the game. Let me know what you thought, how the Niners did, how the Niners offense played, how the defense played. Oh, and one last thing, the injuries. The Niners got to get healthy. My goodness, two cornerbacks went down. We were down to two cornerbacks and just the safeties yesterday, and they got to get healthy. So we'll see what happens in the next week if they're going to be able to play. I think Tremaine Brock came back, so thank God for that. But these 49ers got to get healthy. Maybe they take some HGH or something, like Seattle does. So just kidding. So for JT Magnum and Niner News, I'm out. Peace, y'all.